Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC Mura here, and today we're finally doing it, an official tier list for Street Fighter 6. Previously I have done balance impressions where I talked about which character seems like well rounded, which seems like they might be problems, etc. You will find the link to that in the pinned comment. Today we're actually doing the tier list. I have waited until Evo. I've been to the Gamer 8 event. I've worked the Arabic stream. I don't know if you have seen it. Let me know if you actually want to see like a video on what is the experience been like. It was my first time doing like commentary analyst job for like a really big tournament. Met a lot of top guys, played a lot of games and seen so much, and all of that will be reflective in my tier list here. Everything I'm gonna show you is gonna be in order, and I'm gonna blaze the tiers first and then we will talk about the characters one by one. So for me, I'm gonna start at the top. The best character is Ken, followed by JP. I think these two characters are 1 and 2. I will put Juri up next. I will put Cammy up next, and then Guile, and in my opinion this one might surprise some people, Chun-LI, and I will specifically mention modern Chun-LI in this instant. And I know this is a tier list that might surprise, what? Someone is actually finally putting JP in top 2? And yes, JP is ridiculous. Now let's get over these characters one by one. I'm gonna start first from the right, Chun-LI. I think Chun-LI is ridiculous. Chun-LI is a character that doesn't really have any big weaknesses. The main issue with Chun-LI with classic controls is the fact that her Tenshu kicks are not that accessible easily. Down is very hard to do, and the other fact is you will take time to do like reactionary supers, etc. The game plan for Chun-LI, it's very safe, it's very good, and that's why I said modern Chun-LI. Yes, obviously classic Chun-LI got some amazing options, and I would put classic Chun-LI in the S tier. Maybe even classic Chun-LI would be here, like top 3. She's that ridiculous. But the anti-airs, medium kick is alright, heavy kick is alright, but you need the Tenshu kick. I've like analyzed the Gamer 8 event. There was like 6 Chun-Lis and I haven't seen a single Tenshu kick anti-air because the input is messed up, right? And obviously with modern you got the reactionary level 2 super, which is amazing. So that is really good. She's a safe character, safe game plan, really effective. She doesn't have a throw loop, which is also another big factor as to why I think she's just outside of the top 5. But this is a character that does a little bit of everything and is significantly underrated in my opinion. If Capcom decide to change Chun-Li in the next season and make her Tenshu kick a DP motion and maybe remove throw loops or nerf them in some way, I can see Chun-Li being in the top 2, top 3 discussion, right? She is that good. Next up, let's talk about Guile, Mr. American Soldier, because Guile is quite good in this game, obviously. This is a character that controls the neutral fantastically well. Another one of these characters that have very stable game plan, very safe. His crouching medium kick is honestly busted. His frame data on it is great. He gets like flash kick at every range. He have some of the best OK tools in the game when he knocks you in the corner. His throw loop does need a little bit of drive meter to use because you need to spend on drive rush, but he can meet you in the corner with like forward heavy punch anyways. So he's a very good character all around. The main issue with Guile, in my opinion, is the fact that Cammy fights him really well and JP destroys Guile. And if the character that is as good as JP is common and is very good against you, that's a problem. I think that is the biggest problem for Guile, and that's why we haven't been seeing that much of Guile in the high level gameplay. It's only been Knuckle-Do and maybe Higuchi who are doing good job. He's also one of the hardest characters to use in my opinion. Now, Cammy. I previously said that this is a character that may struggle a little bit. Well, I was the fool. I take back everything I've said because this character is very good. Cammy got very good neutral. This is the first game where she doesn't have the vagina tax, so her health is intact. Her damage output isn't as high compared to the game as she was in the previous Street Fighter games, but still her damage output is still pretty capable, still pretty good. Amazing neutral, amazing footsies. Cammy is actually one of the very few characters in this game that can whiff punish JP's standing fierce, standing heavy punch. There's very few characters in this game that are capable of doing that, and that is because her crouching medium kick reaches mad far, so that is very good for her. She's also one of the very few characters that deals well with Guile and JP because of her spin knuckle, which is a pretty good anti-fireball tool. Her level 3 is a complete checkmate move, especially in modern. Like modern level 3 Cammy is a checkmate, right? Like almost full screen checkmate that you can't do anything about, right? So Cammy I think is very good, very little drawbacks, overall a fantastic character. Juri, I've been starting to see people say Juri is not that good, and it's like, are you out of your freaking minds? Like, how can you look at Juri and say this character is not very good? She's ridiculous. I think there are two things that people miss out when you talk about Juri, right? The first one is her control of the game. Her neutral is just tremendous. Juri doing drive rush, standing medium kick, drive rush, standing medium punch, drive rush, crushing medium kick, low fireball, drive rush, etc. is tremendous. Her damage output is extremely good for her type in this game. Her frame data is also pretty bonkers. Like standing medium punch being +2 is extremely uncommon in this game. Like which of these characters got a +2 medium? No one. It's a Street Fighter V normal that snuck its way into Street Fighter 6. Check this out. If you're in Burnout, right, and Juri decides to do a drive rush standing medium punch, it already +2, it will be +6 thanks to the drive rush, and it will be +10 on a Burnout opponent. Juri doing drive rush medium punch is +10 on a Burnout opponent. That's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. Now, the thing about Juri that puts her over the top for me is the Feng Shui engine. And if you have been watching the Gamer 8, there was a player named Sam, or Wes. He was the Saudi Juri players, and take a look at how good he was using Feng Shui engine, because he was opening up everyone, and I had to play against him. I played against him in casuals. Juri Feng Shui engine is messed up, and it's criminally underexplored, because it's messed up. Like, it's all I'm gonna say. Her Feng Shui engine level 2 super is completely messed up. People haven't even began looking at the potential of Feng Shui engine, and because of it I'm putting Juri in the top 3. Now let's take a look at the top 2, Ken and JP. If you've been watching Evo, if you watched Gamer 8, it was all Ken JP, Ken JP. Even in Street Fighter 6, the game knows. It's like when you check out the main menu, the arcade, the story mode, it's Ken versus JP. These two characters are, in my opinion, 1 and 2. Right? You may say JP is first, and I get it. You may say Ken is first, and you know what, I get it. But JP is ridiculous. There is no way that this character is not top 3, top 2 in any capacity. Right? He is extremely underplayed, and I don't know why, although his success rate have been nothing short of phenomenal. Now, let me put something in perspective. I was there at Gamers 8. I was shouting Kakeru, Kakeru, because this dude, despite playing this despicable character, he was so sick that I actually had to respect him and shout his name and cheer for him. He was amazing, right? So I'm not hating on JP players, etc. I'm hating on the character. JP is a zoner that is fantastic at all range. He's a rushdown character that can zone. That is the reality of it. His normals, his stick normals are ridiculous. They are super disjointed. There is no hurtbox. The reason that Angry Bird was doing all of this Dragon Lash kick is because Ken can't contest or whiff punish crouching medium punch and standing medium punch. Ken had to commit, so either had to jump or drive impact, and he tried to use Dragon Lash kick for that, specifically for the crouching medium punch. But what was Kakeru doing? He was perfect parrying them. Genius. This is a character that controls space really well. His damage output is very high. His normals up close are very good. His pokes are amazing. OD Amnesia, do I need to say more? This character is just completely insane. And obviously, to this day, it's been 2 months, right? About 45 days, about 2.5 months. I have not seen a single person block a JP level 2 super once they are in Burnout. Once you're in Burnout against JP, if he decides to activate that level 2 super, you are done. I swear, 2.5 months have not seen a single level 2 super mix-up from JP get completely blocked once the opponent is in Burnout. You can't deny the strength of this dude. And finally, we got the masterpiece Ken Masters. And Ken is a kind of a different case to a lot of these characters because he's just so complete and he works with the system so well. He got the throw loops, he got the standing heavy punch. It is kind of messed up. It got like the recovery of mediums and 5 active frames. He got a really good drive rush with standing medium kick, crouching medium kick, standing heavy punch, fireballs that he can drive rush after, fantastic throw loop, a way to get himself back in. He got like run tatsu so he can deal with fireballs or run uppercut. He's a fantastic character. Maybe he struggles in some matchups more than these top tiers, but he can hang. He is so versatile, and I don't think there's anyone in this game that hard beats Ken, right? And his damage output and his set play, Oki, etc. is just so good that I think he can hang. All of these characters, in my opinion, are like top tiers that will do very well in tournaments, right? The next set of characters are ones that I do think will do well in tournament, but you may need a backup hero there. And I'm gonna say Luke, I'm gonna say DeeJay, I'm gonna say Blanka, I'm gonna say Marisa. Maybe Marisa, you know what? Marisa, Blanka, I feel like the order can be switched either way. I think Luke is very, very good, but what does Luke have? Luke got that damage, right? And his damage output is really good, his neutral is pretty good, but I don't think Luke is... How do I say it without sounding like I'm downplaying him? I don't think Luke is cheap, if that makes sense. Luke got damage output, but he doesn't... I don't feel like Luke dominates other characters, right? Luke wins, but he is like 5-5 or like even across the board. I don't think he dominates other characters. He does have his fair share of issues, in my opinion. The first one, which is that because his fireball is not that active, it's super fast, it actually is pretty bad against neutral skipping moves. For example, like a Honda butt slam or a Hazanshu, etc. It's much easier to knock Chun-Li out of Hazanshu with a slow fireball than it is with a Sandblaster, right? Same with Honda, same with Manon spin. He is much more vulnerable to these anti-fireball tools. Luke is really is the Ryu of this game, in that he is very well rounded, he can fight everyone, but it seems like everyone is also has the tools to fight Luke, right? And I think for that he is A tier. He's still very good, but I don't think he is as quite as dominant as these guys, and the results have been showing it, right? DeeJay. DeeJay is another character that I see a lot of people kind of have a misunderstanding about DeeJay, because DeeJay doesn't have good lows. This is the argument that you hear. I think a lot of us overrated DeeJay at the beginning, putting him like top 5, etc. I do think he's extremely good, but his archetype is he have a lot of mobility options and he's very good at whiff punishing, right? His damage output is very high. If DeeJay whiff punishes you or get like a punish counter fierce, he gets to combo into back heavy kick, and then you get hit by like the OD sway and you will eat a ton of damage, right? So his damage output is very high and his Oki on knockdown is very good, but DeeJay doesn't play the drive rush low or low into drive rush that a lot of the game plays, right? And the fact that his level 1 super is not invincible and he had to rely on level 2 for invincibility means that he gets bullied hard in burnout. This has been showing up to be like an issue for DeeJay, and obviously his fireball also is very good. It have a little bit more recovery than a traditional charge fireballs like Guile or Chun-Li, so he can get punished for it, but he's still a fantastic character. Blanka. Oh my god. In the impressions video I said that Blanka was underexplored, but this character, now that he have been explored, is ridiculous. His footsies are actually ridiculous, his normals are actually ridiculous. Like, even I'm not gonna talk about like the Blanka ball, etc., but his control of the screen is very, very good. He does have some issues versus some zoners, like I can see Guile giving him trouble, DeeJay gives him some trouble, maybe Honda as well, so he does have some counter picks that can deal with him really well, but a lot of the characters, and especially a lot of the players, don't know how to deal with Blanka. Now, if we put all of this aside, right, if we say his neutral is weak, etc, 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 although it isn't, I think it's really good still, he have level 2 super, Wild Beast, and I will say it, this is MC Mura's opinion. Blanka's level 2 super Wild Beast is the best super in Street Fighter 6. His level 2 super is so messed up on every level. Like on the mix-up level, it's ridiculous. On the block level, it's ridiculous. It's a complete guess like on what he's gonna do. The frame data on it and how everything will go is very hard to study and completely messed up. Now, this whole level 2 super wouldn't be so good if it wasn't for the fact that for the most part when he knocks you down in the corner, he will get to do one of his Blanka Shan mix-ups. So his level 2 super works so well with Blanka Shan, right? You're gonna get level 2 super, you're gonna get carried to the corner, he will have enough frame advantage to set up a doll and go for a low overhead mix that you can't even drive reversal. You have to eat it. And if you guess correctly, he wins. His anti-air is so messed up. Like his standing heavy kick have 8 active frames. When was the last time you have seen a move this active in a Street Fighter game? That's ridiculous. And it anti-air into full juggle, into full combos. Even his standing medium, which I think is like a very underrated move that can be cancelled in super. Blanka and his standing medium kick. Dude, this character is ridiculous. He's ridiculous. And his sheep actually. And finally Marisa. I know that Big Bird like to say that this character got no losing matchup. Maybe she doesn't on paper, but here I'm talking about like short set tournament gameplay. Marisa is good, but she's not very stable, right? Big Bird said that she beats Cammy, she destroys Cammy, but he lost to NuckleDo, he lost to Punk, both of which use Cammy. Not saying that the matchup is advantageous for Cammy or whatever, but it highlights the fact that a character with good offense can actually beat Marisa badly. They played around Marisa's weaknesses fantastically. They really pressured her on wake up, and that is her main guess. You have all seen like the shimmy Punk did versus Big Bird, so you have to be so on point to play Marisa. And for me, if you have to play so on point with a character more than the opponent, in my opinion, that doesn't make for a good matchup. If I have to be so focused on anti-airs, I have to be so ready on defense. Maybe I respect his opinion. He's a great player, obviously, and a really chill dude, but opinions, right? So I think Marisa in general, I'm gonna put her in the A tier. Her damage output is absurd, right? Now the next tier is the characters that will struggle a little bit. I'm gonna start first with Ryu, and then we're gonna put Honda, we're gonna put Sim, we are gonna put Lily, because yes, I do think Lily is better, as some people give her credit for. I'm gonna put Kimberly, and I'm gonna put, I know this must upset some people, but Rashid. I think right now Rashid is here. Maybe if he improves a little bit and we find more about him, maybe he can be up here maybe. But Rashid for now for me is still in the B tier maybe. And I'm gonna put Jamie. Right? Ryu I think is just a discount Ken. It's the same reason of like why play Ryu when Luke and Ken exist. Luke can do most of what Ryu does, but a little bit better. Ken can do a lot of what Ryu does, but much better, right? I don't think Ryu's bad. Justin Wong recently put out a video saying modern Ryu is the way to go, and I do agree with him that modern Ryu is the best Ryu. And maybe once people explore modern Ryu more, he will be even better because you get access to one button DP, which will solve so many of Ryu's issues. Like Marisa's Superman punching you, one button DP. Blanka Ball, one button DP. Honda Headbutt, one button DP. Hazanshu, one button DP, etc. You know what I mean, right? So that could be really good for Ryu. And obviously Shinku Hadouken is also very good. So maybe Honda is a problem character that he's like a very big knowledge check that can be really annoying, can throw a wrench in your game, and Honda is one of the best counters to Blanka. That is, I feel like that is his place in the meta perhaps, is that Honda could be the character that will be able to shake Blanka, and that can be a good place for him, but he does have some issues in my opinion. specifically with like zoning. I feel like he struggles with zoning a little bit, and obviously on wake up on pressure, because even though like headbutt have armor on frame 1, you can still meet it and then like cancel into drive impact and punish him. He doesn't have like a very stable game plan. If you want to play like solid neutral footsies Honda, I think there are better characters to play, and if you want to play gimmicks, Blanka is the way to go. Dhalsim. You know what? I've seen enough of Dhalsim this past weekend. I've seen a lot of Mr. Crimson. I didn't actually get to play him, but I did play one of the best Dhalsims in the region a lot. So finally this time I actually got Dhalsim experience, and I think he's pretty good, although he does have a couple of issues. Unfortunately for Dhalsim, his main issue in my opinion is the fact that the mechanics really don't work that well for him. Right, I'm not saying that it's like drive impact, because I do think he's actually pretty good versus drive impact. It's just that drive rush makes it so that with punishing Dhalsim into big damage is accessible to most of the cost. Right, that's a big issue. Previously he also had fantastic wake up with the teleport. It doesn't really work that well in Street Fighter 6. He also have to rely somewhat on drive reversal, which unfortunately is a lot weaker than V reversal was in this game, or in Street Fighter 5, because here drive reversal get blocked, he get punished, etc. So he is pretty good. Also his reversals, like you have to use level 2 super as reversal, but only work on like upper body, so his reversal options are really weak. Like once you get in on Dhalsim, you can really suffocate him. If you always meet him with a load, like say crouching medium punch with Luke, there's not that much that he can do. You have to do level 3 super, which is also like extremely expensive. So gets really mauled on defense is all I'm gonna say, right? And speaking of mauled on defense, let's talk about Lily, because I do think Lily is underrated. Obviously the final two characters are Manon and Gief, and I do believe like Lily is better than Manon and Gief, because her game plan is, while it's pretty simple, I do think it's really effective actually. The idea of just build wind and then counter spire your way in. You either force your opponent to spend their gauge, or they will have to take the mix, and then you kinda reset the neutral. Her buttons I do think are actually pretty alright. They're not really bad, and her DP is fantastic. Like Lily probably has the best uppercut in the game when it comes to pure like anti-air capabilities. It's really fast. So all of that, she's really good, and her damage output is actually pretty alright. The main issues for me with Lily is the fact that her defense is really lacking. Another character that gets really exploited on defense, same kind of with Kimberly, and her offense and game plan can be shot with drive reversals, and she gonna need to build wind. So if you have a character that can really interrupt her easily, they will do really well against her. Also, she doesn't have good lows, which is a big problem in Street Fighter 6, because obviously crouching medium kick into drive rush, etc. And characters that struggle against lows, like for example Marisa is one of these characters that you can really check with lows, right? Because lows to stop Gladius. Lily can't really do that, so that's a big issue for her. But I can see her being good. Like if they maybe made her standing medium punch like cancelable, that could be good. Maybe give her other ways to like maybe like make counter spire like combos on natural hit without having wind, honestly. Because I feel like right now her game plan is way too dependent on having wind. It's not that hard to build wind, but also she's like far too reliant on it. Kimberly is pretty good, but obviously the knockdown game for her is pretty bad, and her damage output is actually lackluster. I feel like Kimberly and Jamie, both of them suffer from the same problem, where they have to knock you down a lot, right? Kimberly have to knock you down a lot until she lands her level 3, that gives her the 11% damage buff, which actually makes her damage the same as most of the game, right? Now, she is the fastest character when it comes to movement. That is something that you have to take into account. I do think her neutral is actually pretty nice, especially her anti-airs, because traditionally characters with this fast movement, like think of Young Zeku. Young Zeku wouldn't even dream of having like the EX Tatsu and the crouching heavy punch as an anti-air, but the main issue with her is that she doesn't do enough damage. Young Zuko obviously did a grip of damage, so that made him work a lot. In this game, you need damage output and you need consistent Oki. Her Oki is good, her corner carry is good, Sith Blade is great, but the damage output I feel like lacks a little bit. And once she's one on defense, she does have to struggle a little bit because she doesn't have an air reversal herself. Will have to rely on super, but if you use super on reversals, then you don't have level 3, then your damage output is low. It's kind of like a feedback cycle, right? So not a bad character, I think, and if they just buff her damage, she will be in a good place, but as of right now, I think she's just okay. Rashid, maybe I'm too harsh on Rashid. I think this is a character that, as of right now, is in a placeholder state. I can see Rashid being up here, but as of right now, his damage output is low. It can be pretty high, but you need to spend level 2 super, and a lot of this game is you spend the level 3 super for the big cash out and the big momentum swing. He needs to use the level 2 super for the big combos. He does have big combo potential, but it is quite situational because you need to set up wind and then use like the EX Eagle spinning mixer and then do like the follow-ups. He does have like some pretty high execution combos, which is kind of weird saying that Rashid have like high execution now, but it kind of is, and that will set him up for good situations. I do think Rashid could potentially be a counter pick to JP. I can see him being a character that deals really well with JP, and that could make him really good in tournaments because Rashid have a lot of neutral skimming tools that is good versus JP, have ways of bypassing the shadows. He can get in at B+ from like full screen. Obviously hard to set up versus JP because you're gonna get spiked from the ground if you're trying to use like the fireball, but on theory it's possible. And the best thing about Rashid is that he can meaty JP with fireballs. His pressure is mainly like meaty projectiles, and I think that will help him tremendously versus JP. So I can see Rashid being the JP counter, but we need to work on him. Jamie, I don't think Jamie's bad. Like, I only think Manon and Gief are bad, to be honest, but for right now, I don't think Jamie is bad. The issue with Jamie is that he have to work so hard. Like, you have to make so many good decisions with Jamie to actually win the round, right? And the main issue for him, in my opinion, is that his damage output is really low. Like, he need to drink up to get access to the spin move, the breakdance. This is the one that gives him really good damage. Once he get to level 3 or level 4, his damage output is really high, but up to that point, it's really not that great. Right now, his corner carry is good. His neutral, I do think, is actually pretty good. Struggles versus fireball zoning, but if you don't have a fireball zoning, he's really good in the neutral. He does have a really good drive rush. Drive rush standing heavy bunch is kind of messed up. 5 frames is gonna be plus. It's a heavy, and you can easily like confirm after it. I don't need protection, thank you. Have a good DP, although it is really negative, so you can punish it. But anyways, like I said, DP, most of them are negative anyways. So Jamie is good, but he does have his issues, like I said. Another thing that I don't understand about Jamie is that I think maybe a little bit underexplored is his level 2 super, because it will instantly boot him up at like 4 drinks Jamie. The issue with it is that for some reason, whenever his level 2 super wears off, Jamie goes back to like no drinks Jamie, and I don't get this. Like, is this a bug? Is this supposed to be intentional? Because who else have an install super that loses all of the resources once they are in, like, once they lose their install? Like, does Juri lose all of her stocks when Feng Shui go up or like completes get done? Does Blanka lose all of his Blanka Shan toys whenever his level 2 super is out or done? No, really, I don't understand why it's that way with Jamie. Like, I don't get it. Like, why does he go back to 0? If he didn't have that, I think he would be actually much better. I think he would be much better. Also, maybe they could find out a way so that he can be like a level 2 super, and like once he gets to activate it, he gets to like drink up, but that might be too powerful. I don't know. I think he's alright kit wise, but he needs some fine tuning. Manon and Gief. Manon straight up doesn't play Street Fighter 6, and I think that is her main issue. Unfortunately, we have seen so many Manon struggle. Idom didn't make it that far in Evo, unfortunately. Luffy, if you've seen Gamer 8, you've seen like what happened with Luffy, and Luffy pretty much decided to drop the character completely. The main issue with Manon is that she have to play honest neutral in a game where not many characters can do that. Her drive rush is kinda whack, and her O-key is not that great on command grabs. Like she's a character that needs to command grab you, but she doesn't have good enough way to dissuade you from jumping. Like if you get hit by a Manon combo, it doesn't do that much damage. I feel like that is her main issue, but I understand why Capcom did it, because in Street Fighter 6 naturally characters get stronger by like with every consecutive round, right? Like typically round 2 characters will have access to level 3 super, so they or critical art, so they can deal a lot of damage, right? Everyone is more powerful when they have level 3 super, and everyone can deal a lot of damage. They probably figured that Manon, once she is like, once we are at round 2 or round 3, you probably have level 2 super, so you can do a lot of damage, and you have the middle level, so that is even more. They figured maybe Manon's momentum would be far too powerful, and that's why they kinda limited a lot of her options. But as of right now, Manon feel gimped. She reminds me a lot of Season 1 Laura, where there was potential there, but you could clearly see that they are keeping her in check, right? If I had to compare Manon, I would say like Manon and JP are like two characters. You can see that they let JP have fun, but Manon is a character that, and Lily to an extent, are ones that are kept, like, they're kept in check. That's all I'm gonna say, right? Yeah, that's unfortunate. Zangief, it's kind of the same case. He is, I think he lies like a little bit better than Manon, but he's so free on defense, and that just sucks for him. Like Zangief is so free on defense. Like there is nothing Gief can do, honestly. Like his level 1 super is an anti-air, so it doesn't work. Level 2 super is like slow, so you can mediate and block on time. He have to use level 3 for wake up reversals, and it's like him giving, it's like risking everything for that one reversal, and for level 3 that kind of sucks. It does a lot of damage obviously, but I don't know, man. Like he's so free on wake up that it's bad, and he's neutral obviously. I think Zangief is far too meter hungry. Like you need to spend bar all the time with Zangief to get anything going, and even if you happen to land the SPD, you're still not in. You kind of have to guess even more, and that puts him in a really bad place. It's well documented why Zangief and Manon have issues. And that's about it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts about this tier list. Do you agree with me, or am I completely whack? I would love to hear your thoughts about all of this in the comment section below. We'll be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and stay safe.